Hi, it's Stacey from Proven Winners ColorChoice Shrubs, and today I'm going to compare our 4 lime-colored panicle hydrangeas for you so you can really get the full effect of what size they are, what their different features are, and which one is right for the application you want to plant it in your yard. We're going to start here with Little Lime Punch Hydrangea. Now this is actually the newest of the series. It's not even officially out in stores yet. You might find some online. You might even find a few in the garden center if you're lucky, but supply is just starting to get out. So this will be much more available in spring 2022. But in the meantime, this is the smallest of the series, and that's why we're starting with it. Really nice small size that's ideal for adding to landscape beds, garden beds, flower gardens, anything like that. Now what's also really special about this plant is that the flower heads are extremely dense. Like, I'm not even faking this. I can hardly even like squish this without actually trying to. It's just so firm and dense and packed with flowers. The stems are also really strong. This plant, all of the plants I'm going to show you today actually have been through about 4 days of severe thunderstorms here in Michigan. We've had a lot of wind, really heavy rains, and you can see that this plant is not showing any ill effects from that at all. The stems are still holding the flowers up super strongly. And you aren't seeing one of the best characteristics of this plant just yet, because that is its color. Now, all panicle hydrangeas do develop some level of nice pink or red color as they age. But we selected Little Lime Punch and gave it its name specifically because it develops extremely vivid pink-red flowers as the season progresses. You won't even believe it. You can see pictures of it, and we'll update you a little bit later in the season. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss that video. But yeah, this plant, smallest, very sturdy stems, and really amazing color that it develops a little bit later in the season. You can see it's starting to develop now, but the show is just getting started on Little Lime Punch. So let's move on to the next biggest, which is Little Lime Hydrangea. So the next plant is Little Lime Hydrangea. Now you can see this is still kind of a large plant, but it is small for a panicle hydrangea. Most panicle hydrangeas, as you'll see when we end on Limelight, get to be 8 feet tall, if not taller, as they move beyond that 10-year mark. This is a very well established Little Lime Hydrangea, and these are typically going to top out, somewhere in the 3 to 5 foot range, depending on your climate, how you treat it, soil conditions, all of that. Either way, you can see it's much more compact and in scale with things like your house or your landscape, so it's a little bit easier to use. You can see that it carries a lot of the same fabulous characteristics as its parent Limelight, which is these nice big full green flowers, nice sturdy stems. You can see this is all being held up very nicely despite the fact that it's positively covered in these big fluffy blooms. And these flowers are just starting to take on their color. All of the plants in the Limelight family, the flowers take on really nice color as they age. And here you can see it just starting to flush in a few of them. That color change is brought on by day length and nighttime temperature. So depending on the weather that you're having, it may happen sooner or later, depending on even the season that you're in. Little Lime is, the classic. You'll find tons of them out in the market. Even though we have the smaller variety that you just saw and a slightly larger variety that you're about to see, this is a classic choice for landscapes, flower gardens, cut flower gardens, or anytime you need a fabulous, easy care hydrangea. So the third plant that we're going to go over is also very new. This is Limelight Prime Hydrangea. So, when Limelight came out, and we're going to end on Limelight because of course it's the classic, but when Limelight came out a few years ago, it was a great plant, a real game changer as far as what else was on the market at the time. But since then, there's been a lot of development and innovation in hydrangea breeding. And I think that Limelight Prime really is a great symbol of that. So what you'll notice immediately is it has the same nice, big ice cream cone shaped flowers as Limelight, but these are much greener. Now we're filming this video on the same day, so all the plants that you're going to see represent what they all look like here in Michigan at the beginning of August. And when we go to the Limelight, you'll see it's not nearly such a nice, cool green like this. So it keeps its green color longer, blooms a little bit earlier. You can see the stems on this thing are extremely nice and strong and sturdy, really holding these flowers up nicely. Just like I was saying with Little Lime Punch, this one was also selected for outstanding color development as the season progresses. So we'll check in with this plant in a few weeks when that color really starts to develop. It hasn't happened yet because it's been a little bit hot here in Michigan, and so that's still yet to come. Another thing that you'll notice about Limelight Prime that's so good for your landscape or garden is that it's about a medium to large size. So the original Limelight is reasonably going to reach about 8 feet in about 5 to 7 years of planting and get bigger than that if all conditions are good. Limelight Prime stays in about the 5 to 7 foot range, so it's a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to work around your house and in garden beds. Makes a really, really nice hedge, as of course does the original Limelight. I think that Limelight Prime is really going to replace Limelight in the market, as established and classic as Limelight is. This plant just has so much more to offer that I think the difference is going to be clear, especially when you see the plants side by side in the garden center. Now let's end on the classic Limelight. The last plant we're going to cover in this video is the original, classic, timeless Limelight Hydrangea. Now, as you can see, this thing is a beast. This plant has been here for probably close to 20 years, which is why it's so large. But you can see that it's absolutely covered in these big, beautiful, fluffy flowers. Now, compared to the Limelight Prime that we were just in front of, you can see the blooms aren't nearly as green. And a little bit later, when we do a follow-up to show the fall color, you'll see that the fall color isn't quite as vivid. It's nice, but it just doesn't have that big, bright, bold color that you're gonna see on the improved variety Limelight Prime. You can also see this has a little bit of softer stems. Now, some people actually really like that look, and if that's you, great. But you can see that they're kind of bending over a little bit just because these flowers hold so much moisture, so hold so much water with all of the rain that we've had lately that it weighs them down a little bit. But nonetheless, this is a beautiful plant. It really just completely changed the game for panicle hydrangeas and launched us into the situation that we are all in now, where we are spoiled for choice with a panicle hydrangea. If you are looking for a green one, you really can't go wrong with any of the 4 we've covered in this video. Little Lime Punch, Little Lime, Limelight Prime, and of course the classic Limelight. If you have any questions, leave them as a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos. And if you're looking for our plants, find a local retailer at provenwinnerscolorchoice.com.